to get things going, I am going to call up the president of the Rotary Winchester Club, Rebecca, to introduce some of her esteemed guests.
Okay, I would like to introduce some of our very special guests today. We have our athletic director, Mark Arya. We have our assistant athletic director, please stand, Jack Squalia. We have our football coach, Wally Dombowski. And we have our interim principal, Paula Konis. And I would love to have the coaches introduce their players, please. And our wonderful cheerleaders. Yes, please.
All right. First of all, congrats to the ladies right here. They're going to the state finals on Saturday. We have Abigail. Abigail, stand up. We have Gracie. Karina, stand up. And Catherine Howard. We just found out in Worcester State. They're out there for the state finals and cheering. It's awesome. Gianni DePrimo, captain. Chillo. Ryan Harrison.
Great. Am I done? Unless you want some more.
Unless you have something else to say, Coach.
No, I'm good.
And I just want to say that we've got interactors on this. Some of our interactors are on that team, so we're really proud of them. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Rebecca. All right. And on the Woburn side, I would like to send out special thanks for being in attendance. Over on my right, your left, we have the Mayor of Woburn, Michael Concannon. Thank you, Mike. City Council President, Jeff Dillon. Mayor's Chief of Staff, Chris Kissel. Advisor to the Mayor, Samantha Stone. And great friend of Woburn Rotary, John Flaherty. And coming over from the school system, we have the Woburn Superintendent of Schools, Matt Crowley. We have Woburn High School Principal, Thomas Quayle. The Woburn High School Athletic Director, Jimmy Duran. And representing Woburn High cheering, we have Megan Saffey. And the Woburn High varsity head football coach, Jack Belcher. And now I would like to ask Megan and Jack if they would introduce the players at that table.
Megan's our cheerleader coach, Casey Flower, is stuck at work today, so our outstanding athletic trainer will introduce our outstanding cheer captain.
Okay, 15 stock. Lexi Devins.
I'll introduce our captains. Thank you very much for having us. Just a quick note that Boston College does teach when you go to a nice luncheon to wear a jacket. Apparently Holy Cross does not. We're very proud of our outstanding captains for this year. Great guys, great leaders all year with a very young group of guys that are great role models for all our 10th and 11th graders and their classmates that are playing football for the first time. Thomas Geneve.
All right, so we just have a few more minutes before the food is out, but I just want to thank everyone in the room for coming. This is one of my favorite meetings of the year. Can't really brag too much about my football career. I broke my leg my senior year and didn't actually get to finish. It was against Reading, so nothing against Winchester here. If I'm not mistaken, though, I'm pretty sure we did beat Winchester my senior year, though, so I'm still pretty happy about that. As Principal Quayle can probably tell you, he was one of my coaches back then. So if everyone just wants to, mingle, a little bit of camaraderie, you can jab at each other a little bit if you want to, and the food will be out soon. I'll let you know when everyone can go up to grab something. So enjoy. Thank you.
I'm the filler. So trying to capture the essence of this rivalry that's been in existence since 1891. I know. is difficult with the time constraints. The rivalry is one of the oldest rivalries in the nation. And to all our guests, whatever you may hear at your tables, I was not at that game. The first 37 years, the games were not on Thanksgiving, and they were not played every year. In fact, in 1892, Winchester did not field a team. This year will mark the 125th game in this series. There were no games in 1892, 1895 through 1898, 1900, 1901, 1903 through 1907, and then again from 1912 through 1917. There have been years with multiple games. It happened in 1902, 1909, 1910, 1911, and in 2014 there were 3 games, and then again in 2021. There was no game in 2020 due to COVID. In 1894, Winchester won, but there was no record of the score. In 1899, the final score was Woburn 5, Winchester nothing. At that time, a touchdown was 5 points. The 6-point touchdown did not come until 1912. And it wasn't until 1928 that the Woburn-Winchester Thanksgiving Day game became an institution. Thanksgiving and football are inseparable. Woburn won that first Thanksgiving game 26-6 and clinched the state title. The next year, 1929, the game was already referred to by the Winchester Star and the Woburn Times as the annual Thanksgiving Classic. The game, since 1928, has drawn crowds ranging from 5,000 to 10,000 people. The 1979 crowd was said to have exceeded 20,000. Arguably, the greatest years of the rivalry, and this is my opinion, was 1953 to 1955. These were the playing years for Woburn's Joe Castiglione, not the Red Sox broadcaster, and Winchester's Joe Bellino, 2 of the greatest athletes of their time, or of any time for that matter. Castiglione scored 5 rushing touchdowns in his 3 Thanksgiving Day games, and Joe Bellino scored 3 times in his senior year finale. Castiglione was drafted by the Red Sox, and Joe Bellino won the Heisman Trophy while at Annapolis. Each had their numbers retired by their respective school, and Winchester has a park dedicated to Joe Bellino. They are legends that epitomize the rivalry. Joe Castiglione once said of Joe Bellino, when he took off on a flea flicker, you couldn't catch him with a gun. Joe Bellino scored in 22 successive games. The 2 Joes played offense, defense, and special teams. In the 1953 contest, Castiglione was off to the races with a kickoff return, but was caught by Joe Bellino and tackled to save a touchdown. The official rivalry count stands at Winchester 57, Woburn 55, and there were 12 ties for a total of 124 games. And of the 12 ties, 6 were scores of 0-0. The Thanksgiving game means everything to those seniors playing in their last game. It means a lot to the cheerleaders and band members who have spent countless hours practicing for the big day. It means a lot to those fans who cherish the memories of Thanksgiving past and who look to add to the vault of memories. It is a day of reunions and bragging rights, but most of all, it is a display of mutual respect and class by 2 great football programs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jack. All right, so with that, lunch is going to be served. All right, so now we are going to get to meet our guest speaker. And to introduce him, I'd like to call up Woburn Rotarian Art Duffy, please.
It is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker today, Doug Cairns. This is the 50th anniversary of Woburn winning the Super Bowl in 1975, which he was part of. Doug is a corporate attorney with United Engineers and Constructors, which is currently refurbishing the world's largest nuclear power plant in North America, utilizing a small modular reactor. Doug was a member of the 1975 Woburn High School Super Bowl champion football team, which was also ranked 18 in the USA. Doug will share some reflections with us on the 50th anniversary of that championship game. Please welcome Doug.
Thanks very much, Art, for that introduction, and thanks, President Dean, for having me. I'd like to acknowledge a couple of my teammates here, all Woburn Hall of Fame members, quarterback Ed Melanson and wide receiver Mike Callahan. So if I start to get too boring, just let out a loud yawn and we'll go right to the film. Try to keep the remarks tight. So we have some film clips from the 1975 Thanksgiving football game with Winchester to show you at the end of these remarks. Mike Callahan went on a search as part of our 50th anniversary, and he found all 10 original game films in the attic of the Woburn Historical Society. So we have not found the Super Bowl game yet. The hunt is still on. If anyone has any clues, let us know. We'd like to get that. So we have Michael digitize the Thanksgiving Day game, and we're in the process of, Mr. Mayor, perhaps working with the Historical Society to do a tax-deductible fundraiser, perhaps, to get the other 9 games digitized. But that's a follow-on project. Anyway, so to take us back, I want to just set the scene a little bit for 1975 in Woburn. As you know, the team is called the Tanners because Woburn historically had a large number of tanneries. That was all part of the local economy. We fed the textile mills in Lowell and Lawrence, and the shoe mills in Lynn and Brockton. But by the 1970s, the tanneries had started to close down. I don't know how many of you guys were in Woburn in the 60s, but the senior center in Woburn that's at the corner of Campbell Street and Montfort Ave was in fact a tannery in the early 60s. So Woburn was, the teams were well named because they had a tannery right next to the high school. Anyway, the economy in Woburn was in a little bit of a tough spin at that time, and Woburn football was also in a downdraft. 1960, Woburn had a state championship team with some very well-known athletes, Rocky Nelson and Rich Quayle, Principal Quayle's dad was on that team, and Ed Tangiofoli. But after that, Woburn's fortunes had fallen off precipitously. During the 60s, the team was quite bad. It was 0-10, 1-9 when I was an elementary school kid going to the games. The Tanners were having some tough times. So the school committee, in their wisdom, hired a young coach named Peter Sullivan from Wayland High School. Peter had in those days, there wasn't Division 1, 2, 3, it was ABC. So Peter had a championship team in Class C at Wayland High. And he was hired to be the new head coach of Woburn in 1973. And at that point, the fortunes of Woburn football really took a turn for the better. So I can recall I was in the 9th grade at that time, and Peter came in and he had a saying called Tanner Pride. And a lot of us were like, that's kind of corny, you know? Who is this guy? But he believed it, and he sold it, and he made it a mantra, and we all bought into it. And he put together a fantastic coaching staff. All 5 coaches, 4 of the 5 are in the Massachusetts Hall of Fame for football coaches. Peter himself, Rocky Nelson, who was the defensive coordinator, Bob DeSantis and Jim Mitchell were the assistant coaches. The only one that didn't get in the Hall of Fame was offensive coordinator John Moretti, and I think that's because he stopped coaching. He became a superintendent of schools. So anyway, so Peter came in, brought Tanner Pride, revamped the system. First year went 3-5-1. 1974, his second year, the team went 7-3. Just missed getting into the Super Bowl. We lost a very close game to Reading High, where Johnny Allen ran an interception back from the end zone, and it got called back for a clipping penalty, and we lost that game by 1 score. And we lost another very difficult game to Watertown High. There was a big fight in the stands and a fight on the field, and there was a lot of emotions when we played Watertown. So with that as background, we went to the 1975 season. Peter Sullivan did something that no one did in high school in those days, and I don't even know that many high school teams do it today. He made the team 2 platoon. So it was like a college team. We had a separate offense and a separate defense. And that was made possible because we just had a really very talented group of players. We had enough good players that we could have a separate offense and a defense. And as the coaches in the room will know, rather than spending half your practice on offense and half on defense, we could spend 2 hours, the defensive guys purely focused on D, the offense could spend 2 hours purely focused on offense. And that was a tremendous advantage that we had going into that season. And sure enough, with the very large pool of talent we had, and with that 2 platoon system, with the Hall of Fame coaching, we were a wrecking crew. I mean, we won a lot of games, 47-0, 30-0, 38-0. Watertown came to town. We had about 10,000 people at that game. It's a mid-season, not a Thanksgiving game, and we still had 10,000 people. And we beat Watertown, I believe, 33-0. So the team was really, really doing well. But one of the interesting cultural things around the team is that the Boston Globe had a great favoritism for North Quincy High School. The Boston Globe, their subsidiary newspaper was the Patriot Star-Ledger in Quincy. So throughout the season, we were always getting denigrated by the Globe. They say, well, Woburn's winning 47-0, but it's a weak league. It's a little suburban league. Quincy, Brockton, those are the really powerful teams. So there was a little bit of animosity on our side, I would say. And the Middlesex League also became very supportive of us, even though we had some big wins over the teams. They had genuine respect for us, but also support, because we were kind of carrying the flag for the Middlesex League against the Boston Globe and the big bad city teams from Quincy and Brockton. So that was a big part of it. And in those days, there were no playoffs. There was a point system. And the point system was all calculated on strength of wins and strengths of opposition. So throughout that year, there were 3 undefeated teams as it got to the end of the year. There was Woburn, there was North Quincy, and there was Walpole. And North Quincy was consistently ranked number 1 in the ranking system for whatever reason, but they had 3 ties. So Walpole and Woburn, of course, were a little upset because we were both 9-0, and North Quincy was at least 3 ties, maybe 4. I mean, they were 6-0-3, or 6-0-4, 7-0-3. Anyway, so that was a little bit of a drama that was building throughout the season. So come to Thanksgiving Day, and there was a massive storm that night and into the morning. Every high school in eastern Massachusetts canceled their games, except Woburn and Winchester. So Manny Marshall, who was the legendary coach of Winchester High, he challenged Peter Sullivan. He said, it was in Winchester. So Manny said, hey, if you guys want to play, we'll play. Come on down. And Peter Sullivan accepted the challenge. He said, we'll do it. So we showed up that morning. It's a monsoon, a mud bowl. Again, in those days, there was no artificial turf. So by the end of the season, the grass was usually chewed up pretty good. And this monsoon, you'll see it on the film when we cut to the film. It was a real mud bowl game. But anyway, so we show up and we come out of the locker room, and I happen to be right behind Peter Sullivan as we came out. And Kevin Mannix was the sports writer for the Boston Herald. And he said, Coach, you're going to blow your undefeated season. It's going to be a 0-0 tie. And Sully said, we'll see about that. And anyway, we had one of our best games that day. We won that game 39-0. And in those conditions, 6 touchdowns in that mud bowl. You'll see some highlights on the reel. It was really a great performance. And again, the Woburn fans turned out. Even in the rain, we had a full crowd at that game. So last bit of the drama, even though we're undefeated, Walpole's undefeated, Quincy's 6-0-4, and when they did the final rankings, Walpole was out and we were chosen to play against North Quincy in the Super Bowl. So that was this is the 4th year they had the Super Bowl system, and the town just turned out. The support that the town gave us was just unbelievable. Mayor Concannon did a nice proclamation for us on the occasion of our 50th reunion party. And a town of 25,000 people, there were 15,000 Woburn fans at that game. So if you think about that, that's pretty much every man, woman, and child, other than the very elderly and the very young and their caretakers. So I can remember, I know my father and one of the other parents organized, they rented like 100 school buses to get fans in there. So we came out on that field, and North Quincy had like just kind of the middle of their side of Boston College Stadium. We had our whole side filled, both end zones, and even creeping into their side as well. So tremendous inspiration for us as players. And again, we had one of our best games that day. We won the state championship 20-6, but the Herald reported that it really was more like a 50-6 game, because every time we had the ball, we would drive the length of the field. But we scored 3 touchdowns. We had 1 touchdown called back for a penalty, and he threw an interception into the end zone one time. I think Steve McHugh fumbled on the 1-yard line, and we lost that. And we were on the goal line when time ran out. So we could have had 50 points if things had turned out a little differently. But anyway, we won the game in a resounding victory. And again, the town, the support was just crazy. The Woburn Police Department met us and gave us a police escort all the way down 128 into Woburn, sirens blaring. People were on the sidelines cheering for us in the seats, and it was just a very, very special time. And I will just say the business community also just really, really turned out for us. So after we won the championship, we had a party at Caruso's Diplomat. We got our championship rings and jackets. And every business in the town gave us some kind of coupon. So I can't remember them all, but I know Silverman's Clothing gave us a coupon for free clothes. Brigham's Ice Cream gave us a coupon for ice cream. The House of Pizza gave us free pizza. Bill and Bob's gave us free roast beef sandwiches. Showcase Cinemas gave us free movies, and everyone got a free haircut at Tante's Hair Salon at the Four Corners. So it was a beautiful thing. The town, just the support of the town, the business community. It was a really, really wonderful experience for all of us. So with that, I'm going to have Michael show you some clips, but thanks very much for sharing those reminiscences with me.
No, just want to say thank you on behalf of both the Woburn and Winchester Rotary clubs for coming here today. We got a nice little coffee mug for you as a token of our appreciation. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, President Dan, much appreciated.
Awesome. Well, did anyone have any questions for Doug, actually, I should ask? Anyone pick his brain at all?
I just want to thank Doug for getting Winchester all fired up to play us on Thursday.
I did notice that video was a little one-sided.
Thanks, Doug. Don't worry about it. I should go back to Stalin.
So with that, that's going to conclude our festivities for today. I want to thank everyone for coming. To players and cheerleaders, remember the game on Thanksgiving. I'm telling you, like I said, I didn't actually get to play in mine, but I still remember it was actually a bad weather day for us too, Coach, if you recall. So that was a little reminiscent, but you're always going to remember that game. That's going to be the one that's going to stick out in your minds. So cherish it, and I encourage you to really, really enjoy it. So thank you, everyone, for coming. And
I just want to congratulate Winchester on they're going for the Super Bowl this weekend, right? So congratulations.
that is awesome, guys. Awesome. Thank you for bringing that up, Jimmy. And so we're going to end today's meeting like we do most of our meetings by reciting the Rotary four-way test. So those of us that know it, of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill, better friendships, and will be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you, everyone, for coming.